The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The Jets roster, at least initially, is set, and today we'll talk with a Jets insider on some of the major takeaways from the initial 53. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. The day after the Jets have set their initial 53-man roster, we're another day closer to Monday Night Football against the Niners. Reminder, RSVP if you're coming out to our first ever regular season watch party at T-Squared Social. If you can't make the first one, don't worry. We're doing another one for week 2 against the Titans. Same time, same place. Well, not same time. Different time, but same place for week 2 against Tennessee. More info on that when we get closer, but of course, RSVP if you're coming to the Monday night watch party on September 9th. Joining me right now is one of our favorite guests. He will be joining us every single Wednesday, I believe, throughout the season. Maybe it's a Thursday. Actually, I don't even know my own weekly schedule. It's about to be finalized, though, folks, so big announcements coming there. If you're in Discord, you heard about one of them this morning. He will join us every Thursday. That's right, Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We say hello to Jets beat reporter Nick Faria. What's up, Nick?
How's everything going, Jake? Great to be back on.
Nick, I'm fantastic, and I want to thank you in advance for coming on the show for the second year in a row as a weekly guest. It's going to be a blast.
Easiest yes I've given. I mean, this is fantastic. The fans are great. You're great. Great to be on.
Fans are great, and I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge what happened right as the intro was playing. Ladies and gentlemen, we say thank you to Felix.
Felix Campos, he wonderful guy. He gives a lot of gift memberships and loves the Jake Asman Show.
Take the money.
Felix with a 10-spot of channel memberships. My God, we're starting early. Felix, you're the man. Blazin Marley, Robert Moretti, Anonymous, Jerry Moore, Lucas Ford, Jason Del Monte, B. Saez, Joe Bonesy, King Saria, David Ayala. You are all channel members. So great way to start the show. Thank you again, Felix, for your tremendous support. Nick, I'm going to kind of hand it over to you. Jets roster, the initial 53 is set. What are the biggest takeaways when you break down what Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and company decided to do with the 53?
Well, two things. First off, you look at the entire roster and find me a weakness. Find me a hole on this team because I still haven't been able to. Their safety room is a lot more improved than last season. The depth on the offensive line is far more improved than last season. The backup quarterback position has been solved. This is the deepest and probably strongest team the Jets have had in quite some time. People will compare it to the 2010 Jets, but I don't think Mark Sanchez should be in the same conversation as Aaron Rodgers, even with Aaron Rodgers coming back off a torn Achilles. It's just not fair. So I certainly think we're looking at arguably the best New York Jets roster from a talent perspective in franchise history. I don't think it's very, very close. Maybe the Super Bowl team in the 1960s, but it's hard to compare this kind of roster with everyone together, everyone locked in, and you still don't have one of your better defensive players. Hassan Reddick is still not on the active roster. And the fact is, when he comes in, it's just going to expand on what is arguably a top 3, top 4 total rosters in the National Football League. Now, that's one point. The other point is Joe Douglas, I think, did an excellent job of rewarding players for performing well in the preseason and in training camp. Eric Watts, Braden McGregor, Leonard Taylor, if they're on any other team they may not make the roster in favor of a 7th-round player like Jalen McKee. Some general managers try to keep and hoard their draft picks and say, hey, we trust them. We trust our development. There's a reason why we drafted them in the first place. But the fact of the matter is the Jets said, no, we like Taylor. We like McGregor. They've shown more than someone like Jalen Key. So we are going to reward them with that. So a very positive day for the Jets, not just from a roster construction basis, but also in a process basis of getting the best available players on their team.
Which UDFA lineman that made the team do you think will have the biggest impact this season?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I think Leonard Taylor is the best out of all of them, especially you look at the last preseason game against the New York Giants. He was by far the best player on that defense outside of Takk McKinley. But he plays in a position group that's very hard to break into. I mean, are we going to see him get 20 to 25 snaps against the San Francisco 49ers? Probably not. When we look at the edge rushers, they come out in waves. So I think Braden McGregor is probably the name that will look better early, but I think the better overall player in the long term is probably going to be Leonard Taylor.
When it comes to Reddick, assuming he shows up, let's say next week for the sake of this question, which player on the roster would be the odd guy out?
So there's a couple of names you have to look out for. Israel Abanikanda is certainly one. Jason Brownlee, certainly another. I think, though, if you're going to bring in Reddick and he were to sign a deal immediately, all is well, and everything like that, I think it's probably Eric Watts. Not to say that Eric Watts has been bad this preseason, but the production that he gave is a little bit lesser than McGregor, a little bit less than Leonard Taylor. So I think if there's a player that's going to be released in a corresponding roster move, it's probably going to be Watts, but there are other names out there that the Jets could say, hey, we don't value them as much or as highly as we do with these edge rushers. We'll try to keep 11, maybe even 12 guys on the defensive line potentially in order to keep these guys intact.
Just 2 tight ends because Kenny Yeboah was placed on injured reserve, so he's out for the first 4 games at the minimum. Your thoughts on the tight end situation? I think that is certainly a position where if they were to add a veteran, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you look at a couple of names. I look at E.J. Jenkins, the tight end that was actually just recently released by the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a terrific training camp in preseason, really was a solid player to watch. I think he's going to be picked up very, very quickly by one of these teams. And because we have to remember, the waiver order comes in at the same as the draft order was. So the Jets have the 10th highest waiver claim across the National Football League. So they can make a waiver claim on a tight end, on a third quarterback, on an additional corner, whatever it is that they want, they can make those waiver claims happen. Could they address the third tight end spot with Yeboah out? Certainly. I know they like to have 3 tight ends on the field at times, but it's hard for me to say exactly where they would go right now. Jenkins is certainly a name. Jack Stoll is another, a pure run-blocking tight end with good hands. He's another name to look out for. But ultimately, I don't think the Jets are totally worried about that position right now. They're sort of just waiting to see, hey, how long are some of our injured guys going to come in? Can we get a resolution here with Reddick done quickly? And then you look at the roster and say, okay, where can we add these pieces? Tight end being one, quarterback being the other.
Are you surprised they kept 7 receivers and ultimately kept both Herb Charles and Jason Brownlee?
Yeah, I was surprised. I wasn't surprised about Herb Charles because he is your special teams ace. And we have seen, especially with this roster construction, Brant Boyer has pull. Chaz Surratt makes the team. Herb Charles makes the team. Guys that the Jets trust on special teams, whether it be in punt or kick coverage. So it doesn't surprise me that Charles made the team. It did surprise me that Jason Brownlee made the team. And I think the injuries, the players that were put on injured reserve, Leaky Fotu and Kenny Yeboah, those are the guys that kind of opened this opportunity for some additional players, Brownlee being one, and I think Eric Watts being the other. I don't think Watts and Brownlee would have made the team had those injuries not happened. They get the opportunity here, but I think it's also important to remember just because the Jets have made their 53-man roster announcement and everyone is currently on the roster does not mean this is how it's going to look week 1 against the 49ers. They can still make plenty of changes. Brownlee, I don't think, is going to be safe just yet. So there's still some roster building, roster maneuvering that the Jets are going to have to do.
The other thing I wanted to get your thoughts on is the Codrington trade. I'd much rather just have released him when you find out it's an exchange of late round picks in 2026. The last thing, and this is the Jet fan of me talking, we need is a player that helps the Bills win a game, and that's the difference in the division this year, or that's the difference in a head-to-head tiebreaker, or hell, the last thing we need is Codrington having a big return that hurts the Jets in a game of a huge magnitude. So I didn't like this. What were your thoughts?
I didn't like it either. I'll start out with that. I thought you never want to enhance your division rival, especially when your division rival is going to be competing for the title. It's simple as that. Now, they made this trade with the thought process of, we're going to release him anyway. Let's just get some added capital. It's, late round picks in 2026. It's not going to be the end of the world, but let's just get some capital for a player that we really like. So in that regard, the trade makes sense. Hey, get value on a player you're not going to keep on the roster. But we talked about the waiver pickups and the waiver order. The Bills have a waiver order in the 20s. They are not going to get the top guy that they want on waivers. It's just not going to happen with over 20 teams able to pick in front of them. If Codrington was really the guy they wanted, are we sure with the new kickoff rules that he would have gone to Buffalo no matter what? Are we sure that that's the true answer? And I think that's where Joe Douglas, I wouldn't say it's a catastrophe of a move. It's a 6-round pick swap for a guy that may not even make the Bills roster. Let's be fair about this. But with Codrington as a returner and with the rule changes at kickoff returner, I said this before earlier today. The football gods, for some reason, have this problem with the New York Jets and New York Jet fans. I'm not really sure what it is. Maybe it's Joe Namath's deal with the devil that keeps hurting you guys. But are we really supposed to expect that Brandon Codrington is not going to help the Bills in some capacity when they play the Jets, whether it's a game-winning punt return or a long kickoff return to set them up in field goal range? Like, are we really sure that's not going to happen? Because the football gods just seem to really screw with the Jets every which way possible. So is this a move right now for fans to worry about? Probably not. In all likelihood, he may not even make the roster. He could be just and put on the inactive list for most of the season. But to give a division rival a player of value, and that's really what we're talking about here. Codrington as a returner is a valuable asset. And when you're giving a division rival a valuable asset, you need to make sure that you don't have to worry about that rival at all going forward. And unfortunately for the Jets, you do. Whether we like to admit it or not, the Bills are not going to just go away with Josh Allen at quarterback. He is an elite quarterback, regardless of what some players think. He's still elite, and he's going to have the Bills in contention in a lot of games. Are you really willing to sit there and say, hey, we're okay giving them a kick returner, giving them a punt returner for a 6th-round pick, even though it could hurt us for 2024? That's just me.
Answer should be no, but the deal has already been made.
Of course.
I'm right there with you. Hit the like button if you're tuning in. We're talking with Nick Faria, long time NFL reporter, second year on the Jets beat, doing an excellent job for Athlon Sports, is the affiliate, the outlet where Nick will be covering the Jets this season. He'll be on with us every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time throughout the season. So we're getting Nick on a day early to react to the roster stuff from yesterday. As far as, just the overall depth at the most important positions, there was a good question here from a member in the audience that I wanted to get into here. And if you have a question for Nick to respond to, write it in. Super chats will always cut the line, but it's from a Jake Asman fan. What position can we not afford to get injured at besides the most obvious one, quarterback?
I mean, you'll say quarterback's obvious. I'd say the offensive line is even more obvious. I mean, are we sure? And again, I'll say it this way. The Jets season last year was tanked when Aaron Rodgers went down. But we also saw Trevor Siemian look competent at times as the starting quarterback late in the year. Are we sure that they couldn't have won at least 1 or 2 more games with quality backups if the offensive line didn't just get ravaged by injuries? I'm talking 13 different players, 13 different line combinations. Sauce Gardner, any real position on the Jets defense, I feel you have to trust the coaching staff that they'll be able to figure out in the long haul. They'll understand how to make it work. What are we going to do in the offensive line if the Jets have Tyron Smith and Olufashano and Morgan Moses all go down with injuries? Not saying it's going to happen, but it happened last year. So it's not some outlandish thought that could potentially not happen for the Jets. This offensive line is as talented and as deep as the Jets have had in quite some time. But that doesn't mean they are out of the woodwork when it comes to, we don't have to worry about injuries anymore, because Tyron Smith has dealt with injuries for the last 7 years, almost a decade in his NFL career. Morgan Moses is coming off an injury. Elijah Vera Tucker hasn't stayed healthy. Are we sure that this is the group that we can afford to deal with those type of injuries? I'm just not sure in that regard.
100%. I think it's a good question. Now, some breaking news that just happened. I use breaking news loosely here, but it is Jet relevant. Dalvin Cook has signed with the Cowboys. So Dalvin Cook is still somehow on someone's team. Now, I don't even know if he's going to make their 53. Maybe he's a practice squad guy, but the agent spin I was seeing yesterday on this one was quite funny. He never had a chance to get into a rhythm, and he proved with the Ravens he still has a lot left. And then it's like he had one good run, and then he did nothing after that. But, he still has a lot left. They're like, he had, no chances to be the guy in New York. The O-line was bad. And I'm like, okay, Brees dealt with the same obstacles, and he balled. So, okay. But I'll play along. But anyway, Dalvin Cook is signing with the Cowboys. So, Nick, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, my thought is, okay, yeah, whatever, fine. I mean, listen, Dallas's offensive line is going to be a lot better this year. It looks like Tyler Guyton's a great player. Cooper Beebe is looking really, really solid. All those guys, I think, are going to help transform that line back to the elite spot that it was recently. Does that mean that Dalvin Cook's going to have a career resurgence? Probably not. I can't see it from a 29-year-old running back. I really can't, especially when you add in the fact that Ezekiel Elliott is on the roster. Like, who is going to run the football for Dallas for most of these carries? I think – I'm not saying that the Cowboys aren't going to be a threat in the NFC East. They always are. They're annoying pricks in that regard. But to me, this does absolutely nothing. This does absolutely nothing to switch anything around in the NFC or the NFC East.
I mean, he's washed. I'll say it. It's just, come on. But
he's not good, and the Cowboys are supposed to be competing for a Super Bowl. So I don't know what move this makes, other than Jerry Jones trying to parade around saying, see, I will pay money for free agents. Here we go. Dalvin Cook. Remember, big name. This is like them signing Eddie George in 2004. Did Eddie George do anything? No. So let them have their fun.
Let them have their fun, says Nick Faria. Love it. Love it. All right. Ghostbuster Hotline's open. We'll start to mix in your calls here coming up. Want to remind people, if they haven't already, join my Patreon for bonus shows. Your name in the intro. We updated the list of names today. So now, if you sign up for the Patreon, you got to wait a little while longer. But that's okay, because you still get 15% off every item in the merch store. You get access to the Jake Asman Show exclusive Discord channel. That allows you to connect with your fellow Asmaniacs. Find out about show-related announcements like the big-name weekly guest that I announced this morning in the Discord. Also, you could find out info about meetups with your fellow Jet fans going to road games or even home games. We have a game meetup tab for every game. So people are planning their stuff for Nashville, obviously week 1 in San Fran. So check that out. It's patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Sign up, support me there. It goes a long way. And we're going to continue to make that Patreon worth your while for less than a cup of coffee a month. All right, Nick, some super chats here. Let's get into this one from Dan the Jet fan, who says, Jake, will you and Nick be doing a pregame show for Thursday Night Football against the Pats and Texans on those Thursdays too? Nick is coming on Thursdays at 10 a.m., so he'll be on with us to set the scene that day.
Might as well.
Shake and Bake wants to know, what's up, Jake and Nick? Your thoughts on the Jets carrying 2 tight ends? We did cover this a little earlier, Shake and Bake, so I don't know when you sent this in, but Nick and I both expect the Jets to potentially add a tight end or maybe even add someone to the practice squad, and then they could elevate that player on game day if they want a third tight end until Kenny Yeboah gets back off injured reserve. John with a super chat. I don't feel confident with our interior offensive line depth. Nick, your thoughts on the O-line depth in the middle?
I'm a little surprised that people would be concerned, to be quite honest, because when you look at where the Jets are compared to last season, When you have all like this rash of injuries that they dealt with, it really allows some players to really get their first sort of snaps in the NFL, deal with speed at the NFL level. And I thought this worked perfectly for a guy like Xavier Newman. Newman was terrific in the preseason this year, really good in training camp, especially in joint practices. So that kind of experience that he got last year, which he wouldn't have gotten in a fully healthy year for the Jets offensive line, could help this team in the long run should an injury happen to Joe Tippmann or John Simpson, whatever the case down the road. Now, they still have Wes Schweitzer. Max Mitchell can play guard as well. There are pieces in place here to really help this Jets offensive line where they didn't have it last year. I think they had maybe 5-6 guys that they could trust on game day to play on the field at all times. This year, I'm counting 8. So it's a much different group overall.
Yeah, the depth in general is just, I mean, it's
just
much better. And they have experience. And, obviously the key to the interior O-line depth is Tippmann taking a step in year 2. And the key is obviously AVT staying on the field. If AVT stays on the field as, at his natural guard position, you're not really that worried about it because you got an all-pro there potentially.
It's kind of the point. Like, the reason why AVT got hurt, the torn Achilles in Denver, he's playing multiple positions. That's different footwork at every position, different reads at every position. It's a very complex for any player, not just a top one like Elijah Vera-Tucker. And now that he's playing in his natural spot, you're looking at the kind of guy they drafted in the first round all those years ago. So I think the Jets are far better off right now where they were a couple of years ago. With AVT coming back fully healthy, I think this line is going to be one of the elites in the NFL.
Let's get this super chat in here from Ray Danger. Thank you, Ray. I think we're screwed if any of our wide receivers go down. Even Lazard, I think we're screwed if any of the receivers go down. Ray, what is this, like talk to text here? Something happened with the super chat. But anyway, Ray, I think we get the gist of your point. Look, I am worried, obviously, with the overall depth at receiver until we figure out what version of Mike Williams we're getting here. I think he's going to be good, but what version of that player that we saw with the Chargers for all those years are the Jets getting right away? He returned the team drills earlier this week, which is a great sign. But look, the biggest thing, Nick, and you know this, Garrett Wilson's got to be on the field. If he's out there, him and Aaron Rodgers are going to put up historic numbers for any Jet quarterback wide receiver duo.
Here's why I don't think the Jets are going to be screwed if any receiver goes down, including Garrett Wilson. And I think Garrett Wilson is going to have a historic season. I have been on record saying he's going to shatter the target record set by, Marvin Harrison in 2002. I think it's going to be completely shattered. The reason why you're not worried is because you have an all-time great franchise quarterback at the position who has won with different receivers left and right. He's gotten to the conference championship game with an 8-7-1 record. Like, this is not some outlandish thing here where Rodgers needs the number one receiver to be good. He's always been elite. He's always been good. I think people need to relax on the receiver depth a little bit. Xavier Gibson's really solid. Irv Charles is a special teams guy. Yes, all those concerns are there. But Allen Lazard with Aaron Rodgers is a much different receiver. We have seen that throughout training camp. We've seen what Mike Williams can do when he's fully healthy. Malachi Corley is going to get his set of plays to allow him to just get acclimated to the NFL level. If one of those guys goes down, they have the depth with Xavier Gibson to stand up and have a really good season. Are we sure? Let's say catastrophe happens. Garrett Wilson and now Lazard go down. You need 2 guys. You mean to tell me you can't trust Xavier Gibson in the slot and Jason Brownlee outside if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback? He's dealt with worse. Like, these guys are pretty solid NFL players. He's played and won with worse players overall.
The key is Brees. If something like that were to happen, because Brees could just carry you for games at a time.
Sure, but also at the same point, okay, even if Brees Hall were to go down for a week or 2, you can't trust Braylon Allen as a power back to just own the line of scrimmage. The key here is offensive line and Aaron Rodgers. If the offensive line is healthy and protecting Aaron Rodgers for a full season, you're getting elite quarterback play, any sense of the imagination. That wins you games. You can win a game with Aaron Rodgers and a good offensive line if Braylon Allen and Xavier Gibson are your lead guys. You can do it because you have an elite defense at your disposal. So I think these guys are very important players. They are all pro caliber players. No one is denying that. But when you have an elite quarterback and an elite offensive line, you can sort of mask some of those concerns overall.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. There's 445 of you watching live. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for? Help me continue to reach out to all the Jet fans that this is your one-stop shop for daily New York Jets talk. If you have a question for Nick, write it in. We'll get to some calls here in just a second, but I want to get to a couple more membership super chats that are coming in. This one's from Franco, who says, with Lecky Fotu out the first 4 games, is there concerns with the run defense? Who will take over to be the run stuffer? Any waiver guys we should add?
Good question. I think Javon Kinlaw has looked really, really good, both against the run and the pass to this point of the preseason and training camp. I think the Jets are really high on him. They're paying him like a guy that can really develop into an every down defensive tackle. So I think their run defense is going to be a lot better this season than we give it credit for, because they're going to be playing with leads. And I think that was something that hurt the Jets defense last year, where teams were able to run the football on them because the Jets were forced to either force a turnover or they were going to lose the game 13-8 like they did against Atlanta. So I look at where the Jets are. I think their run defense is going to be a lot better just based on the law of averages of their offense being better and giving them more leads overall. Outside of that, who takes over as the run stuffer? I think Michael Clemens is still the guy that they want to trust and see in the John Franklin Myers role. Javon Kinlaw internally is probably going to help out a lot. And even Leonard Taylor, I think with Fotu out, Taylor is going to see a lot more playing time than he originally thought.
Interesting answer there. Keep going here. This one's from Gator McCluskey, who's using his Asmaniac Super Chat. Where does your Jets fandom land after your beloved Eagles? Second favorite, third? Can we get you to wear a Jet hat when you come on the show?
So point of emphasis, I never wear any team attire outside of college on any show or any game. I'm a reporter. I have to be objective to the nth degree. So that's never going to happen on any show. I apologize to Jake and everybody. Not going to happen. I will say the Jets fandom, it goes, the best way I can put it is this. It's the Eagles, and then it doesn't really matter. I just do my job. So I appreciate all you Jet fans. I want to see success for the Jets because fans and players and coaches are easier to talk to when the team is winning. And there's a lot of great stories to tell when that happens. But am I going to sit here and say that Super Bowl 59 comes on, Eagles and Jets are facing off, and I'm going to be sitting there saying, oh, yeah, yay, Jets. You're barking up the wrong tree.
John wants to know, did Becton make the 53 for Philly?
He not only made the 53-man roster, he is their starting right guard.
Does that concern you?
Not at all. Not at all. Because Jeff Stoutland has turned water into wine thousands of times. If he can get Jordan Mailata, an Australian rugby player, to never play a down of football into becoming one of the better left tackles in the game, I think he can do wonders for Mekhi Becton. Pretty
good. Pretty good. All right. Nick Faria with us here. We'll take some calls. If you have a question for Nick and you want it answered, make sure you super chat it in. It will be guaranteed to be read. We say hello to Doug in his room. First up on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline. What's up, Doug?
Quick question related to the Patreon. What if you're a Patreon and an Asmaniac, a YouTube subscriber? Do you get extra bonus stuff or just no?
Well, if you're a Patreon member, you get 15% off no matter what.
Fair enough.
If you want extra stuff, you get extra stuff with each thing, though. So you're getting extra stuff.
I pay $5 a month for both. So
there you go.
So how quickly did the Raiders trade Devontae Adams to the Jets this year? I was thinking like week 5, week 6.
The trade deadline. Great question, but it's the trade deadline. If the Raiders are going to be out of it by then, Devontae Adams is going to want out, and he's going to want to deal with the Jets. And I think this is almost a foregone conclusion. Really, it just comes down to the compensation that the Raiders would be comfortable having. But if they're like 1-5, 1-6 during that time, I think it's a foregone conclusion. He's going to become a Jet.
And then 2 more quick things. If a tight end gets injured, that's I'm worried about, because like I know you guys talked about it earlier, but still we only have 2 on the roster, and I know we'll sign somebody in the on the practice squad to elevate or just someone to claim. But if tight end gets injured, like you get a little bit worried there because like who the heck is going to fill in? Also, Jake, if you do any of the road game trips this year, I'm going to try everything in my power to make the one. I'll try my best. No promises, but I will try my best to make it to one of the Jake Asman road trips this year.
Well, I would imagine London will be hard for you, so try Miami. I'll be there December 8th.
Miami will probably be a lot easier than London, but especially because my passport's expired right now.
Yep,
So
that would
Miami would be way easier.
Doug, I'm glad you're becoming a regular caller again. Gator wrote in, looking forward to Doug on the toilet, Doug in a coffin, not dead, just a vampire.
Exactly. I was taking a sabbatical.
Well, Doug, welcome back to the show, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug in a room, normally on a couch, Nick, but Doug on the couch had to retire the couch. We hung the seat cushion in the rafters.
Incredible.
Daniel Meehan says Nick is a shell for the Jets. I believe you mean shill, and Daniel, you could not be more wrong. Nick is not a Jets fan, so he has no reason to actually be pro Jets. He's just a breath of fresh air on a beat that is full of curmudgeons.
The point that I always say is I don't have to, say anything. I just cover the team. I'm giving you my thoughts. I'm giving you what the Jets feel. That's about it. I can give you stuff on Hassan Reddick that is against the Jets. I think they were really foolish in a lot of stuff there. If you want it, that's up to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Meehan with a comment so stupid, it is worthy of going to Stupid Town.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser. Good.
See ya. Let's get into the Reddick stuff, though, before we get back to the calls. I think he shows up next week. I'm not banking on him playing week 1 at that point, but I think he shows up just to get paid. I think he's exhausted all his options at this point. I think he is getting terrible advice if he doesn't show up next week and he starts losing game checks, because the best thing for Hassan Reddick, despite how annoyed and upset he might be with the contract stuff, is to show up, play football at a high level like he's been doing, and then get paid, if not by the Jets, by someone. Because the worst thing he could do is not show up, then eventually show up later on, not have a good season. Then he's going into his age 31 year. And then who's giving him big money at that point? Nobody. So I think he shows up next week. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think this is going to get resolved next week because he has no other choice. He cannot lose game checks. He has to show that he is still the consistent pass rusher, the dominant edge rusher that he has been over the last 4 seasons. Now, I will say, if there's a demarcation point of one way or another this gets resolved, it's week 1 against the 49ers. If the Jets come out and they dominate on the defensive line and the defensive line gets 4 or 5 sacks, Reddick is going to come to the Jets and say, all right, fine, whatever. You guys clearly don't need me. I'll show up, be the last piece of the puzzle, help you guys win a Super Bowl, and go from there. If the Jets go into San Francisco and get obliterated and their defensive line does nothing, even if Trent Williams isn't there, the Jets have no choice. They have to renege on this idea that he has to show up to the team facility. They have to get a deal done immediately because it clearly will show that's your top edge guy, and you cannot just go the entire season without him.
If he doesn't show up, or he shows up and he can't play, and they don't get a whole lot of pass rush, I would agree, there's more of an onus on eventually getting him in the building. But because the schedule sets up the way it is, with or without Hassan Reddick, I think the Jets are 4-1.
I agree. Look at it. I think Tennessee, the Titans, are going to be a lot better than even we kind of expect. I think the Titans, they've made some moves this offseason that have looked really, really promising. I still think the Jets are better. I don't know what we're seeing out of Will Levis. And then it's the Patriots, who I will say right now, I have been nonstop critiquing the Jets for how they handled Zach Wilson. If the Patriots throw Drake May out week 1 and make him the starting quarterback right away, they have become the dumbest franchise on the face of the planet because it's just so stupid to play him. He's not ready. The offensive line stinks. The Jets are going to win that game by 45 at worst. They're going to blow them out of the water. They should blow them out of the water. You're looking at a 4-1 start at the very least. This team should overwhelm their incoming opponents.
I like that idea. Where do I sign for that one? Come on. I want blood that night. Tamarac's Treehouse writes in, longtime watcher, but first time catching you live. Thanks for all you do, keeping us sane and up to date, Jake, from those who watch from the shadows. Tamarac's, I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who tunes in daily that maybe can't comment or can't call or can't super chat, whatever. Appreciate all of you out there who tune in. Most of the audience doesn't see the show live, so you're not alone, Tamarack. In fact, you're the majority. So thank you so much, and make sure you turn on gift receipts if you're watching live. It'd be great if someone gifted you a channel membership on a day you're watching the show live for the first time. That's awesome. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Dalvis writes in, hey, Nick, with the additions of key UDFA players and seemingly the incoming return of Reddick, who's the odd guy out?
It's actually so I keep saying there's three. It's Jason Brownlee, Israel Abanaconda, and Eric Watts. Watts is probably the replacement for Reddick. Depending on if they want to bring in a third tight end, he's probably the replacement for Brownlee or Abanaconda. Just that kind of thing where you have to look at the players that aren't exactly safe, but still made the 53-man roster because the Jets are high on them. Abanaconda, I think the Jets want to use him for special teams, maybe as a returner, maybe it's just as a gunner overall. All of that could be in contention. Jason Brownlee, he's not really a special teams guy. So he's on kind of that chopping block of, sure, you made the team to start, but you may not be here in 48 hours. So it's still up in the air. And then Eric Watts, I've said before, I think he's the lesser of the three UDFAs on the defensive line. Not that he's bad. It's just that McGregor and Taylor have shown more to this point.
Once again, questions for Nick, write them in. Super chats go first and cut the line. We say hello this morning to Ricky NY. Ricky's up next. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, how's it going, Jake? Good to see you, Nick.
Of course.
I think maybe that guy confused you for a Jets fan because you're not all negative like most guys on the beat. I think you and Antoine Staley are like the only two that I can listen to that don't seem like they're pushing some kind of background.
It's the Ricky NY Wi-Fi striking again. I'm sorry, Ricky.
I appreciate it, Ricky. Thank you.
It was tough. I will say this. Ricky is a great human, and it's a shame that his Wi-Fi just doesn't align with the quality of person that he is.
I agree.
Man. Ricky, we love you. John with a super chat. Nick, Pelagis versus Dells.
Neither. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a soda drinker. I'll have some wine occasionally. But if I'm going out and it's a hot day, I'm not getting lemonade or anything like that. I'm getting a nice cold bottle, nice cold can of Pepsi or Coke. Either one, good for me.
Jets Carpetbagger writes in. He's been an Asmaniac for 10 months. Let's go. Hey, Nick, will you be going to any of the watch parties or maybe a tailgate for the Texas game?
Certainly possible. I think it's more likely than not. I will be in attendance for some of these. Obviously, just depends on my schedule overall. I know Jake had, the watch party for the Panthers game, right? I tried to make it. Family was out in Montauk, so it was kind of difficult overall. But definitely, we're gonna hook up eventually and figure that out.
Yes, and look, you get to the game for the home games early, so if you want to stop by and say hello to listeners at L5 and tailgate beforehand.
Absolutely.
Tom A says, I need to see Nick do a keg stand.
I don't drink beer. Sorry, guys. It's just wine and soda. That's about it. It's why I'm fat. It's why I'm balding. That's just where we're at.
Balding has something to do with drinking wine and soda?
I don't know. Maybe. That's what I tell my wife. Just, hey, yeah, blame it on that.
Charlie the dog groomer is up next this morning. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for everything. Hello?
Charlie? Charlie. We hear you, but you can't hear us.
Hello?
Yes, Charlie.
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Hey, hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Charlie, we can hear you.
Hey, Chuck.
Hello?
Yep. Hello. Woof, woof. I'll talk dog if that you might understand me better. Woof, woof. Woof, woof. Charlie.
Hello?
This is going to be in the best of the Jake Asman show. Hello, Charlie. Yes.
I think I lost. I think I lost you guys. Hello?
No. You have us.
Hello?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
hello.
Unplug
Maybe it's my head.
It's like Seinfeld. Hello. La, la, la. Charlie. I hear the dog. You hear the dog? Charlie.
Hello?
Come here, bud. I got a treat. Hey, Charlie, go fetch. Have a Jake Asman football.
Hello?
I think Charlie's like grooming the dog right now as he's trying to say hello to us.
Man. I think he's saying hello to the dog. I don't think he realizes he's on. He's saying hello to the dog.
Charlie. All right. We'll come back to you, Charlie. Thanks for the time. Man, I've taken some wild calls the last couple days. I can't even imagine what happens when the team is good this year, Nick. All right.
I will say there was one call. I think I was with Boy Green, D-Mac or B-Mac, wherever it was, where he had his alter ego. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It is stunning. I couldn't speak for at least 10 minutes. It was incredible.
Yeah, that was a weird bit. I don't know. Have you seen my intro I have for B-Mac?
I have not recently. You got to show it.
Well, he's not on the line, but if he were on the line, I would introduce him like this.
B-Mac, look at my TV. B-Mac, I love Aaron Rodgers. Jets, go Jets.
And it's the most predictable call every time. It's someone in the media said something bad about Aaron Rodgers, and he's very upset about it. It's the same call every time.
Oh, man. That's incredible. Absolutely
Anyway,
incredible.
I don't have BMAC on the line, but I do have another Packer fan who could bring some positivity to today's show. We say hello to Jerome, the Packer fan. Hello, Jerome.
What's going on, Jake, man? Time is winding down. It's upon us right now, man. I'm just as excited as you guys with this new start of the season. The Jets are gonna do some wonderful things, man. I can't wait. And you know why y'all gonna do well? Because I'm always hollering 14-3. And you know why that is? Because you guys have Superman and Aaron Rodgers.
Let's go.
And it's gonna be a whole lot of do it with me, Jake. And you can have Gator even make an emoji or something about it. It's gonna be a whole lot of first down. Y'all gonna move the chains.
Let's go.
Y'all gonna move the chains. I can't wait. I'm even orchestrating a way because I drive trucks. I'm trying to orchestrate them routing me that way so I can be at that T-square circle thing that y'all have for the first game.
Yeah, Jerome, come on out, man.
I'm gonna try to have them route me that way.
Man, I'll tell you what, if Jerome the Packer fan is in the house for Rodgers' first game back on Monday Night Football with an army of Asmaniacs, that will be one of the highlights of the entire night.
I told you, I already bought my Jets. I have an Asmaniac hat that you sent me. I bought me an all-black Jet classic starter jacket. And I'll have my Green Bay Packers hat on. So y'all don't know that's Jerome the Packer fan. But, I'm Packers Jets. I adopted the Jets as my my AFC team. So it's Packers Jets over here. And hopefully we see a Packers Jets Super Bowl.
Jerome, from your lips to God's ears.
Jerome, I'll see you week one, buddy. I'll see you week one.
Jerome, I'll see you at the T-squared social thing, baby. T-squared social, folks. RSVP if you're coming. We have like 200 people that have RSVP'd already. This is insane. Insane. All right. It's going to be a blast.
Incredible.
All right.
I might go, depending.
Well, I mean, it's right next to Grand Central, so you could just hop right back on the subway, get back to Queens, and do all your writing right after the game.
Yeah, the other thing is I'm not going to San Francisco.
Right. That's why you're going to be in town.
Yeah, might as well.
Come for the first half.
Let's see if Drew wants to go too. Why not?
Go.
Screw it.
Yeah, we have a lot of females that will be there. Great. We had a great turnout last time. Ladies and gentlemen, we go back to Charlie the dog groomer and see if he could hear us this time. Charlie. Charlie.
Jake, did you do like dog noises? Did you woof on the show?
Yeah, dude. I thought you didn't speak English anymore. You only spoke dog.
No, I went back to go check the YouTube and I backtracked a little bit. I heard you woofing. It kept like being staticky and stuff, so I was trying to figure it out. I thought maybe it was the dogs.
We heard you the entire time, and you weren't answering us.
I couldn't hear you right, so I was like, "What the heck is going on here?" So then I was the dog started freaking out. So I put my camera maybe like this way, and the dog down. But anyway, let me get back to work here. Let me make my point really quick because this dog has a little bit of anxiety right now. But he's panting a lot. So, yeah, he's very stressed out.
What's his name? That dog's adorable.
His name is I think it's Scout. Yeah, Scout. But he has a lot of undercoat, like a lot of undercoat, and I'm pulling all of it out right now, so he cools off a little bit. But real simply, I called because I heard your guest there mention about the offensive line. If the offensive line goes down, gets injured, what do we really trust the guys behind those guys? But I heard a point made by somebody, and I don't remember who, and with Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback, that kind of keeps a lot of the injury bugs, I feel like, away from the offensive line because when an offensive line is forced to take it easy, buddy, take it easy, forced to block for a really long time, that will cause more injury. When a quarterback like Zach Wilson takes 10 years to throw the ball, the offensive line has more strain on their bodies, on their ligaments, and their joints, everything. So I feel like with Rodgers getting rid of the ball fast, being able to pre-snap reading, all that, he'll be able to keep a lot of those injuries away from the team. So what do you feel about Aaron Rodgers being able to actually run the offense, keeping the offensive line more stable?
Charlie, great call. Before we let you go, though, give us another view of Scout one more time.
Yeah, he's very stressed. I'm trying to keep him calm. There we go.
Aw, give him a treat for us, all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if I was allowed to. No treats.
Charlie, plug the business again, by the way.
Rough Life Mobile Grooming in Long Island, New York.
Rough Life Mobile Grooming, Long Island. All right?
Yep, absolutely.
Check it out, folks.
All right, guys.
Support a fellow Jet fan. Thank you, Charlie.
All right. Take care, guys.
Woof, woof. I love how he's like, were you barking? Like, yeah, I was. I absolutely was. Your answer to his question about basically Rodgers' presence making the O-line better.
Rodgers' presence makes everybody better.
He makes me better. He makes me a better human.
No one's going to deny it. However, I will be fair to say the offensive line didn't get Rodgers hurt last year. The offensive line did their job. Garrett Wilson was open. We've looked at this play thousands of times. It wasn't Dwayne Brown's fault that he cut block and Rodgers held on to the ball. If Rodgers gets rid of the ball when he's supposed to, he doesn't get hurt. And that's just an objective point. The throw was there. He didn't make it.
You know why he didn't make that throw? Ian O'Connor had a good theory on this, who wrote the book on Rodgers. He was trying to make an exciting play on the opening drive as like a thank you to the fans for the environment and the welcome. So he held on to it to try and see, I think it was either Uzama or Conklin over the top if they were going to break free. And that split second caused the injury. But here's the thing with that play. If it wasn't that play, it was going to be the next play. Like that Achilles was rupturing that night.
Sure. And I'm not debating saying the offensive line wasn't a dumpster fire. That's not what I'm saying. But in that particular play, it shows that even the elite quarterbacks in the NFL will hold on to the ball. It's just every quarterback holds on to the ball. Every quarterback is going to make a mistake. Every quarterback is going to make a throw, and you're going to say, what is he doing? They are regular people. They are normal people making these incredible throws, making these incredible reads under incredible circumstances. So I will say, with Rodgers specifically, if you're expecting him to not hold on to the ball this year, you guys need to realize what franchise quarterbacks do. They make that kind of mistake all the time. Rodgers made that mistake last season. It's not the end of the world, but it will help the offensive line, him being 100% going into this year more than anything else.
Ladies and gentlemen, a super chat has just come through from Jets Carpetbagger, who writes in, any Jet fans in Salt Lake, Utah area, message me on Discord. I'm trying to get a watch party together for the Niners game, not a Zach Truther reunion. I love it. This guy stuck with the Jets even post Zach Wilson. A rarity. Actually, I think Carpetbagger maybe lived out there before the Zach Wilson pick was even made. I don't remember. Carpetbagger, remind me of your intriguing backstory. A couple other super chats to rapid fire before we get to another call and we say goodbye to Nick. Ricky NY, super chats. Would you take a flyer on tight end Irv Smith?
No, I wouldn't. When you're looking at third tight ends, and this is a great question, of course, from Ricky. When you're looking at third tight ends, you're not looking for guys to catch the ball. You're looking for guys who can block. Add that, additional offensive lineman. I will say the guy that I continue to look at is probably Jack Stoll, just recently released by the Giants. He was a premier run blocker for Philadelphia for a couple of years. He's not a massive pass catcher, although he does have good hands. He's probably the guy that I look at for the Jets to jump on.
Good insight there. Melvin Weiss checks in. Thank you, Melvin. Jake, Thanks for keeping me sane out here in Israel, looking for other Asmaniacs out here. Melvin, that's great. I'll tell you what, I know of at least 3 or 4 people who regularly tune into the show. Some of them call who are in Israel. So you have yourself, you have Jason Picker, who's in the chat a lot. Jay Lepselter is in Israel. David Aaron is in Israel as well. So I think most of those guys I mentioned are on my Discord channel, Melvin. So join my Patreon, get in there, and I'll make the introduction for you. Maybe you guys are able to gather to watch the Jets together this season. Bang Mateo, the biggest Jeremy Ruckert hater to ever live. He says, what has Ruckert done to be gifted a roster spot? Nick, you watched Ruckert every practice this summer. Your thoughts?
I mean, he's a gifted tight end. Really good blocker, really good pass catcher, good route runner. Just because he hasn't been able to produce with Zach Wilson at quarterback, and Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco, what are the other guys? Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle. Just because those guys haven't been able to get the most out of him, why are we going to assume that Aaron Rodgers can't? Ruckert's a fine player. Is he better than Tyler Conklin right now? Probably not. But I've seen tight ends really develop overall and through time. So I think the Jets should be patient with Ruckert, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Matt from L5 says, Nick Faria is going to witness the L5 jersey burn. Hope you like amazing food.
I'm excited.
Wow, I can't believe he's watching the show. Hassan Reddick is in the house, Nick. He writes in, should I go work out?
This again. I saw this, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago for you?
He was watching last week when I had O'Leary on.
Gotcha. Okay. So, yes, you should go work out. That's perfectly fine.
I have a better idea.
I miss you.
Better idea. How about you show up at One Jets Drive and talk to Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh in person, and I am sure you will feel a lot better about being a part of this football team, and you'll win a ring this year, Hassan. And then if it's not the Jets, someone's going to give you a fat bag of cash. How's that sound?
Hassan, I miss you very much. Thank you
Hassan
for your service.
Reddick. Hassan Reddick writes in, I'm addicted to the show. It's all your fault. It's a great show. I'm biased. I think it's the best show ever. I mean,
of course.
But it's a great program, and I appreciate you watching. I'll tell you what, though, Hassan, if you show up to One Jets Drive, I'll turn you into a martyr, all right? I'll be on your side, all right?
Immediately. Joe Douglas is right. Joe Douglas is right. No, Hassan showed up. It's all Douglas's fault.
You show up today, and I'm the biggest Hassan Reddick truther ever. You thought the Zach Wilson truthers were bad. Wait till you see what I got cooking, all right? I'm going to be leading the Hassan Reddick should be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. You shouldn't even have to wait for any retirement. Just put him in now. Tom A says Hassan would rather watch Jake than play. That's respectable. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. Rourke Strip says this is the best show ever, and fans. The fans make the show. Let's make that very clear. Anyone could give opinions on the Jets. There's 1,000 podcasts, YouTube channels, radio shows. We all could give our thoughts on this football team. What makes this show is the Asmaniacs, the calls, the super chats, the interactions. That's what you guys do. The Gators. TB with a question for Nick. He goes, are players who made the 53 yesterday more protected if they're sent to the practice squad later than players who were cut yesterday?
No, not at all. This is just a part of the process. They've made the first round. The second round now comes as teams try to improve their roster heading into Sunday's game or Monday's game in that case for the Jets. So no one is really safe outside of the locks on the roster. So Abanaconda, Jason Brownlee, Eric Watts, they all still have things to prove over the next week.
Will Collins says, is Michael Carter II's injury really a hold-in?
No.
I got hurt. I don't think it's a hold-in at all.
Yeah,
he was practicing at the beginning of summer.
Yeah. I saw him get hurt. I saw the play. He got hurt.
Kakuka Lake Jet fan says, Nick, thoughts on the new private equity rule change?
Yeah, it's not a surprise considering where teams are now being valued, billions of dollars. No one's really going to pay billions of dollars to buy off some of these owners. So it's just another way for them to make some cash on the side. I think there has to be some safeguards here. You don't want groups from like Saudi Arabia or some very questionable companies and questionable countries jumping in and trying to offer money for particular value. But as long as that's protected in a way, I don't see there's any issue with that.
We'll do one more call with Nick, and then we'll say goodbye, and I'll stay on for more calls and everything else that's going down with the Jets. We say hello to Southern Jet. What's up, Rich?
Hey, thank you for taking my call because I wanted to talk to my favorite analyst, Nick.
Thank you.
Yep. you eat Isgrows, I eat Isgrows. So, bakery in Philly. So the question I had, two questions, two statements actually, and one goes back to the Rucker thing, Jake. We know Williams down long, Garrett medium, over middle. Now you have Gibson and Conklin. I don't know Rodgers' total history. Where do you see his safety valve most coming from? And second is the Jet defense. I know Jake has that wonderful clip from the Dallas game last year that shows them stacking the box because of lack of respect for Zach. This year, the Jet defense, because of Reed and Sauce and Carter, do you expect a dominant in the box look from the Jets when they don't have the 2-score lead yet early in the game? I know we're going to get sacks when we have the 2-score lead, but nobody's talking about how dominant they can be on rundowns early.
It's a great question. I will say I cannot specifically report on some of the things I've seen in practice. The Jets have very strict. Yeah, the Jets have strict rules in that regard. I like my partnership and with them, so I like that to continue. So I'm not trying to hurt anyone in that regard. I will say the Jets are adding new wrinkles to this defense that's going to make things look a little bit different than we've seen in years past. The basic one look the entire game is not going to be the case this year. They are doing some new things that is going to make things very interesting to watch throughout the season on the defensive end.
And the safety valve is where you can't talk about.
Safety valve, I that's more of a prediction. I think it's Garrett Wilson. Also because Aaron Rodgers, when he has a top target, when he has the target to look at, the Devontae Adams in this situation, he doesn't go away from Devontae Adams if things go wrong. He overwhelms targets in his regard. So to me, Garrett is the safety valve.
So Garrett coming in to the line when the play goes south. That's what you're talking about. The other thing before I go, Jake, that was an extremely astute statement you said about the private equity thing, because look what happened to the Premier League.
Yeah, it's you can't when you start getting these other countries involved and these really shady deals overall, you start losing the sanctity of what makes the NFL special. Now, private equity firms, all these other things. I saw Curtis Martin. I saw Rich Cimini talk about Curtis Martin potentially running a group that could buy a share of the Jets, maybe be a part of that. That could be in consideration. But that's cool because you're having a franchise great just come with the organization and continue to be a part of the organization. Does that mean Saudi Arabia has to buy, the Eagles or the Cowboys or anything like that? That's where you start getting shady, and I think that's where you start losing what makes this league so special.
Final one from Jets Worldwide. Wide. Nick, I'm still not convinced Reddick doesn't get traded. Change my mind.
What makes you think that Reddick is not getting traded that can change it? See, this is my problem with some people because, okay, I still think this is going to happen. Why do you think that's going to happen? I don't know. I just think that. That's not a
2 + 2 = 6. I don't know. I just think it does.
It doesn't add up. First off, the Jets have come out and said consistently they are not getting rid of Hassan Reddick. You have given up a quality draft pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for Hassan Reddick. You have traded for him 4 months ago. Why in God's green earth would they want to trade away a top asset like this just because he's not showing up? That would essentially set the precedent of we're going to bow down to every player that's not happy with us. And if someone's unhappy, we're just going to trade them away and be done with it. We don't want to deal with this. No, if you brought in a player that you think is going to win and help you win for an entire season, you don't cave to their needs. You say, show up or don't get paid.
Show us the Carfax. Sorry.
Let's go. Enough of this.
We have the origin story for Jets Carpetbagger in the form of a $20 super chat. You didn't need to pay me for this one, Carpetbagger, but you're the man. I moved to NYC in 2000 to work at a law firm. Had history of being a fan of NFL teams ending up with a losing record. Many Giants fans at the firm. I chose the Jets because of the fan base and uniform. Sorry for jinxing everyone. No regret. So carpetbagger from the Utah area, Zach Wilson country, happened to choose the Jets because he worked in New York City. Moves back home to where he's from. Obviously is thrilled when they took the kid from BYU. Is not a Wilson truther because he was a real Jet fan before Zach Wilson was even like, a thought in anyone's like mind. And now it all makes sense. So how about that? Carpetbagger, you're a good man.
He's the source of all your misery, guys, of the last 20 years. Unfortunately.
I will say, if he became a Jet fan in 2000, like he saw a lot of good teams. Like the Jets were a playoff. Yeah. They were a playoff team in 2001. 2002, they won the division. 2004, they were a playoff team. 06 playoff team. 09 and 10 championship game. Like he saw, like the Jets were a good football team in the 2000s. The problem was they played in the same division as Brady and Belichick. That's why they never won the division more.
If they were in the West, if they were in the AFC West or the AFC South, I think they win some of these divisions over even Peyton Manning, because the Colts, as good as they were during that stretch, it took them a little bit to really become the dominant force that they became. So I think any other division, really even in the conference, you're looking at a much different scope of Jets history had they not been in the same division with the Patriots.
Jets carpetbagger.
That's like the Houston Oilers. The Oilers were in the same, I believe they were in the same division as the Steelers dating back in the 70s. And they were considered like the second best team in football in the late 70s. But it didn't matter because they never won the division because they had to take on the Steelers. And the Steelers were the dominant team of that era. So they weren't going to touch them. Very similar situation there.
Melvin Weiss, I just got the alert that you signed up for the Patreon for the full year. So here's what you need to do now. Get in the Discord. You'll see David Aaron is in there, Jason Picker's in there, and we will connect you with your fellow Jet fans who live in Israel. How about that? We're going international this morning, Nick. I love it.
Hey, I've got the Santorini hat spot that I went for my honeymoon. We're all in on the international stuff.
Tremendous. Nick, I'm going to say goodbye to you right now. But before I say goodbye, please tell people where they could find you, all the things you're doing ahead of the season.
So, yeah, Nick_Faria 1720. All my articles and pieces that I'm writing, all coming out on Twitter. So definitely appreciate all the support. Football with Faria, we're on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 5 p.m. to 6. Just talking about some of the stuff that I hear around the Jets, things that I notice, things that I see, sort of breaking down each matchup. So we do have a show today, 5 o'clock. So make sure you guys tune in there. Just appreciate all you guys for jumping on.
Nick, you're the man. I will talk to you every Thursday at 10 a.m. during the Jets season.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria, one of the greats. Second year on the Jets beat, second year as a weekly guest on the program. Some other weekly guests that are confirmed. Will Parkinson will be Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. will be Robbie Sabo of Gen X Factor. In the afternoon on Tuesdays, we will have Andrew Fialco's film review from that previous Jets game. The All-22 will be out by then. Fialco will be in the lab breaking it down. We will have him Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Wednesday morning will be open for now. In case there's breaking news and stuff to react to, Salah speaks in the morning typically, so we'll have stuff coming out of there. 4 p.m. Eastern. That afternoon will be Jeff Parles every week. He was a weekly last year. He's joining us Wednesdays this year. Thursday, we just told you, is Nick in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Open slot in the afternoon that day. And then Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, we will be joined by Fireman Ed. "4 p.m. Eastern later that Friday, we will be joined by Boy Green. All right? And if you're on the Discord and you saw the announcement tab earlier today, you saw the big announcement that we made for who's going to be joining the Jake Asman Show every Monday during the Jets season at 10 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe B.
Here it is. Little Victor Cruz dance. Oh, Victor.
I hate this team. I hate them. I hate them.
I got off the phone with Joe this morning. You're going to be loving him, Joe. I'm telling you. Also, so Beningo is our big one. Mondays, 10 a.m., Joe B. And I wanted it at 10 a.m. because I grew up listening to The Fan, Joe and Evan. That show started at 10. So Joe's at 10 every Monday. The first spot with Joe will be Tuesday after Jets-Niners because the game is obviously Monday night. Joe invited me as his special guest on his podcast, the Old the Pain podcast he does at the Hackensack Brewing Company on September 20th. So I will be doing an in-person appearance on Joe's pod, hanging out with all the fans on September 20th. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the day after Jet Patriots, after we hopefully put a 50 burger up on New England. So you're not going to find a better lineup of content creators, personalities than what we have cooking. All right. 10 a.m. Mondays, Joe B. 4 p.m. Will Parkinson. Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Robbie Sabo. 4 p.m. Andrew Fialco. Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Jeff Parles. Thursday mornings, Nick Faria. Fridays, Fireman Ed and Boy Green. We're going to probably have a show on Saturdays and obviously post-game on Sundays after every game. So it is going to be nuts, folks. Absolutely nuts on this channel. All right, I got other things I'm working on too, but big things are coming. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, what are you doing? Right, Robert?
Look, guys, I don't know how else to say this. Fact of the matter is the team has almost no chance to win this week unless you click on the like button. Also, be sure you're subscribed to the Jake Asman Show. Let's do this. Go Jets.
Thank you, Coach. All right, hit the like button, as Coach said. Subscribe if you haven't. Going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, fire off your phone calls. And if you have any questions for me to answer, write them in, and I will respond accordingly. Jet, NFL related, whatever's on your mind. We talk about all that and more when we return right after this.
And the pick is in. Here to announce the 13th pick in the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft. Representing the Jake Osmond Show, here's Gator McCluskey.
With the 13th pick, it looks like we have a trade with the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to pass out. The Packers send the Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers the 15th pick and a conditional 2025 second-round pick. The Jets send the 13th pick quarterback Zach Wilson along with 6 months of free Netflix along with these Burger King coupons.
And now for a special announcement from Jake Asman. There's consequences to saying dumb things on this show. FM, you're going to the Shadow Realm, bozo, for life. See you never. Get back to your calls right now. Let's go to Charles, who's up next on the Gusbuster Hotline. What's up, Charles?
Hey, Jake. Look, I was pleasantly surprised. Well, let me rephrase that. Just Dwayne Brown is a bit.
The Russian Minister of Defense, Sergei Shoigu, and the General Chief of Staff, Vasily Gerasimov.
I'm sorry.
You have like some weird game fetish.
I understand that, but
sorry, I am. Just...
Oh my God.
Hypocrite's a bit much. And honestly, I don't.
Oh, what,
no, they don't need that.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
So what's up? You want me to give you those 10-year your phone number?
I'm sorry.
It's killing me. I'm just muttering randomly. But honestly, I don't. Sorry, I am just joking.
Oh my God. Oh my God. How did Gator do that? Just that. Oh my! I mean, what a ridiculous video. I mean, there's no words. There's no words. I thought that was legitimately Charles on the line there. It's just hilarious. I mean, I don't know what to say. All right, back to the calls we go. Assuming this is a real call, let's go to Craig, who's up next on the Gusbuster Hotline tonight. Craig, are you a real person or are you a robot?
Mate, I'm in Australia. Of course I'm real.
What's up, Craig?
Gator, is there anything you can't do? That's my question.
I mean, I was fooled there, man. Like, that was unreal. I thought I was going to Charles, and it was
It's just wild what just happened there.
Hey, Robert, thanks for taking my question. With Zach starting again Sunday, does he have any compromising photos of you or someone else in the organization?
No, it's a fair question, Jake. I'm going to take the fifth on that one.
What the hell is this going backwards bullshit? You don't go backwards. You throw the ball out of bounds with your big goddamn arm, and you go back in the fucking huddle.
No, it's a fair question, Neil.
This is bullshit.
Jose Feliciano, the blind Puerto Rican guitarist, can see that he is terrible.
This kid does not want to run with the ball. Are you kidding me? This is the shit I'm talking about. You bitch's ass. You did his ass on my damn field.
No, it's a fair question, King.
The third damn year we are seeing this in Naptown. He's not trying to win the goddamn game. You gotta be kidding me. Sit his ass the fuck down. I could have made 20 yards with that goddamn hole. If your quarterback cannot play in the NFL, they get rid of him. Oh, there's one of his 27 seconds, bro. Oh, it's amazing. I don't give a shit. If you cannot play football, get your ass off the field. And walk around and wipe Rodgers' ass because that's all you're good for.
And you're sitting here defending this bullshit.
If I see Zach Wilson go on that field, me and Lowski are going out personally, and we're going to take his ass off the field.
It is torture, man.
God damn it.
All right, thanks, guys.
We're back. Thanks, Coach. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show for bonus content, Discord access, exclusive shows, not on YouTube, and much more. All right. Comments, questions, super chats, open phone lines for anyone who wants in. You go right to the front if you call in fast. The reality checks in. The reality is the division will be between Miami and the Jets. The Dolphins are too high octane. I actually think it comes down to the Jets and the Bills because of the Bills quarterback. Miami has not proven they could actually go toe-to-toe with good football teams, and they have not proven they could win in the cold. So it's just tough for me to fully buy in. They could be really good, but the Bills scare me more than the Dolphins do. You know, everyone talks about Rodgers staying healthy. I mean, we had the same talks about Tua a year ago. So because Tua made it through one season, he's no longer injury prone. Like, I don't know about that. We're going to say Rodgers is injury prone when he has no history of injuries. I can't say that about Tua too. So, you know, that's part of this as well. Thomas is up next on the Gustbuster Umbrella Hotline today. What's up, Thomas?
Hey, what's up, Jake? How you doing?
Hey, Thomas.
So I was thinking about something yesterday, and it's kind of exciting. So I'm 41 years old. When I was always kind of a Jets fan, but I flirted around with other teams as a little kid. The Dolphins a little bit, the Chargers. When I played youth football, I was on the Dolphins. And then I was a big Cowboys fan in the mid-'90s, which is when I was in middle school. That's when they had their dynasty. I was especially a big fan of Emmitt Smith. And I was thinking about the Jets roster today and the Cowboys roster back in those days. And I was comparing them. And they had all these Pro Bowl players, Pro Bowl caliber players. I'm like, that's what we have now, too. I'm thinking they had Aikman, we have Rodgers. They had Smith, we have Hall. They had Irvin, we have Garrett. They had Harper as their wide receiver, too. We have Williams now. They had a strong offensive line. They had guys like Nate Newton, Larry Allen, Stepnoski. We have Tyron Smith, AVT Titman. They had, a fullback. They had, I think Novacek was a tight end. Tyler Conklin's a great player. Then on defense, they had, a strong defensive line.
Your point is the Jets roster reminds you of the Dynasty Cowboy rosters?
I know. I'm going on. But, yeah, exactly. And, same thing on defense. We have all these Pro Bowl caliber players. At every position, we have at least one guy who's a Pro Bowl caliber player, pretty much. And, even the special teams, the kicking, the punting game. And it's like, not just this year, but, we know Rodgers only has so much time. Hopefully this will be our year. But even in the future, if they could keep a lot of these guys together, and find another quarterback when Rodgers is done.
Thomas, I love you, man. Find another quarterback. As if that is easy for the Jets. That's why they got to win right now. This is our moment. This is the window. You have this year and maybe next year. Supposed to be last year. We lost a year of it. Find the quarterback. Not easy to do. They've tried many times, and they have failed. And failed again. I'm almost at a point. I don't even want to think post Rodgers, but I'm almost at a point now where if let's say they win and eventually Rodgers retires, right? What I want to see happen is they just keep trying the veteran route again. I can't go through the growing pains of another rookie quarterback and drafting one high, and I can't do it. Draft one every year, but have a veteran playing in front of him. Maybe Jordan Travis ends up being the guy. I doubt it, but we can hope. D. Green writes in, what are the qualifications for being a featured speaker with Jake? None. We let this guy on the air. What's up, Gary?
I wanted y'all to see how the magic happens. This is Mimi, best hair braider in Texas. Say hi.
Hi, Mimi. I'm so sorry you had to work with Gary.
This is how the magic happens. I know y'all wanted to see. I did have a Jets question and then a football question in general, Jake. It seems like I've been on the Izzy bandwagon since the day they drafted him. A lot of y'all, you and Jet Nation in particular, fell out of love with them. Seemed to be falling back in love with them, and he's everyone told me he was a long shot to make the roster. Now he's on the roster. Why the change on Izzy? I mean, I've always liked him, but
he played well. I mean, he had a really good preseason. It's not complicated.
He has never gotten much of a shot to play, right? And like I don't know if you watched him in college, but he's really, really good. Like he's an explosive athlete.
Yeah. Well, last year they didn't trust him in pass protection. They had 3 guys in front of him at one point. This year they drafted 2 guys at the same position, so the writing was on the wall. They weren't sold on him, but he played himself onto the team with a great summer. Good for him.
Now we can just get him an RB2 position. I'll be a happy man. And then, Jake, on your football show yesterday, not your Jet show, your whatever. I don't want to get the book wrong, but your football show that you do.
Yep.
You were talking about Eli Manning being a Hall of Famer. And I agree. He's going to make the Hall of Fame, granted. But the case for him is really flimsy. Do you think Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer?
I do not.
Matt Ryan washes him statistically.
I understand. But Matt Ryan never won a Super Bowl. Eli won the Super Bowl twice and was the MVP of the game twice. That has to matter.
I mean, record-wise, he's a 500 career quarterback. Joe Flacco has a better touchdown to interceptions ratio, and Joe Flacco is a high interceptions guy. It's just statistically, the case for Eli is not really there. On top of that, he was never a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So it's like, when was he great exactly outside of 2 playoff runs?
Yeah, but they're 2 of the greatest playoff runs ever. That's why he's a Hall of Famer, because of those runs.
Over 2 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's the MVP of the Super Bowl twice and led fourth quarter comebacks in both those games. The throw to Mario Manningham is the greatest single throw in the history of the Super Bowl.
I mean, it's on a short list for sure, right? For sure. For 2 seasons, I can't give you a vote for eternal.
He wasn't a great statistical quarterback, but he also the last 5 or 6 years of his career, he never also had great teams that he was with either.
He's a career 500 quarterback who statistically ranked 5 to 10 in his era. Guys like Steve McNair and Donovan McNabb aren't going to get him either.
They don't have 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That's the difference. I agree with you. Statistically, he was not a great regular season. Tony Romo was better in the regular season. Would you rather be Tony Romo or Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning? Eli is a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He's going to the Hall of Fame. And he didn't just win 2 random Super Bowls. One of them was against the greatest team ever put together that was undefeated. And the other one was against still a team that had the best quarterback coach duo in the history of the sport.
I agree with you. Those 2 runs were great. I couldn't vote for someone on the basis of 2 individual seasons. I got to see an entire body of work.
I'm telling you, your opinion on this is not crazy. There are people who agree with you, a lot of people. But I just think at the end of the day, Eli will get into the Hall. He might not be on the first ballot next year, but he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day.
I agree with you that he's going to get in for the reasons that you named. It's just he wouldn't get my vote. That's
he would get mine. That's where we disagree. It's fine.
All right, Jake. Appreciate y'all.
Gary, keep getting those corn rolls. adjusted there, right? Mimi's doing a tremendous job.
Tremendous job, Mimi.
Thank you.
Hey, Mimi, you want to hear Gary sing?
Uh-huh.
Chicken doesn't go with pasta. Don't you know it's disgusting? Chicken can't go with pasta. Why? Because of the texture. Instead, go get yourself pizza at the closest Shell gas station. Cause chicken don't go with pasta. I just discovered dogs are pets.
Thank you for that one, Gary. What a call. Some of these comments, man. Also, like Eli, like compared to some of his peers statistically, he's not like otherworldly, but like Tom Ace is right. Eli's 10th all time in career passing touchdowns and yards. You know, and the numbers, you can't really use numbers too when it comes to different quarterbacks and different eras. If I had a vote, I'd vote for Eli because to me, he's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. It's not like he was a passenger in these games. And it's not even just the Super Bowl performances. He was great in their other playoff wins too. And that has to matter. All right, they beat a 15-1 Aaron Rodgers-led Packers team during their second Super Bowl run. The first Super Bowl run, he ended Favre's career with the Packers in that frozen tundra game where Coughlin's face is still red. And was great that night. If I had a vote, I would put Eli in the Hall. Some might. I get it. But I think he's going to get in. Why Salas? Any chance we reunite with Mike White? Well, Mike White signed with the Buffalo Bills, so no. He's on their practice squad. LX Jet fan says, I've never seen someone argue over something so stupid and constantly be wrong. I mean, the Eli thing is not, like, on the long list of Gary's horrendous takes, the Eli thing is not even in the top 50 of things he's called about. Because there's a legitimate case that he's not a Hall of Famer. I acknowledge that. Me personally, I think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. I also think with Eli, the fact that he never missed a start, that he was an Iron Man, that he was durable, that has to matter too. Availability is dependability. Jay says, stop arguing with Gary. He's getting acupuncture to the brain. R&R says, please clean his ears while you're doing his hair. R&R, Gary always trying to be right about something stupid. Tom wants to know what's Mimi's take on Derek Jeter. Orb says Gary's invited to the barbecue. Tom A says, is that Gary's wife? Oh, hi, Gary's wife. Where's Bobby today? Bobby Midnight, where are you at, man? You avoiding the show still? Is Bobby big timing us?
Oh, is that Gary's wife? Hi, Gary's wife. Oh, there she is. Good looking.
Maybe Bobby's getting ready for his big birthday celebration tomorrow night. Jets Life wants to know who drafted Izzy, Gary? Oh, Joe Douglas. That's right. Indy Jet says she is pulling the hair so tight it cut the blood supply off. King Lowski says Gary is not invited to the barbecue. Bobby's wrinkled old man nuts says, hi, Jake. Hey, Bobby's nuts. R&R says Alan has been going on Boy Green. He's avoiding you. Alan's just waiting for the first 3 and out opening night, and then he'll be ready to call in. That's what he needs. Alan needs a Jet 3 and out on the first drive of the season more than any of us need air. That's his dream.
Jets, 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 Jets.
It pains him to have to chant for the Jets. Has he actually been going on Boy Green, though? I usually watch some of Boy Green every day. I was on as the guest yesterday. Tom A says, Alan's cheating on us with Boy Green's chat. Man, maybe he is. He was on this morning, someone said. Wow. Alan, you dog.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas.
Crazy. Man, what a show it's been. A couple minutes left. We're back this afternoon. Let's say hello to James B, who's calling us from, looks like a beautiful beach or something. Hello, James.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
What's up, James? Where are you calling us from?
I travel for work. Right now I'm in the Orlando area, Indian Harbor Beach. It's beautiful, just like the Jets season's going to be.
Nice.
You know, there's going to be some waves. It's going to be a little hot at times, but there's also going to be some clouds that come at the right time to cool us off, like some nice fade passes to Garrett Wilson in the corner of the end zone. So I'm just personifying the Jets season. I guess perfection is what I would say. Maybe a perfect season. No one's talking about that, you know? I mean, let's aim high. If we fall short and lose one game in the regular season, I'm okay with that. But I did see a post from you not too long ago with the 9.5 wins being a spread for the Jets. I mean, that's a good. I'd bet with that. You know, I think it was 9.5 games, right? That the Jets would win.
In some spots, it's moved to 10.5 now. So Vegas is taking note of all the Jet money coming in. But yeah, I mean, I got it months ago. Really good odds at over 9.5.
Yeah, that is. I would take that for sure. I might. And then, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and also, you know, if I had all the Jets in a room, like Joe Namath, and just being one of them, and who I would like to meet, I would pick Bobby. I would love to meet Bobby. You know. But anyway, you have a good one.
James, enjoy your beautiful view from the office, man. Someone wrote James hasn't been listening to Neil. Yeah, Neil's been on the undefeated train since the season ended last year. So there's some people in this fan base going 17-0 as their big take. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas has called back in. He's very upset with people calling him a bandwagon fan. Thomas, go ahead.
Thanks, Jake. I appreciate it. Just want to clarify. So, yes, I figured I should have made a disclaimer. I might have gotten some anger. By high school, I've been a devout Jets fan. So it's been 25, 30 years. And just to show you how my old John Abraham jersey, my old Curtis Martin jersey, I have two of them. So long-time Jets fan, going back to high school. Used to go to training camp in Hofstra. Been going to Jets games since the early 2000s. So I've been suffering for decades. Longer than some of the other people in the chat. So just want to clarify that. No bandwagon fan. Been suffering for decades. So excited to finally have this time. Thanks, Jake.
Thomas, thank you. I appreciate you clarifying, man. Jay says, show us your Michael Irvin jersey. Thomas, you're good with me, man. I know you're a real Jets fan. You've called the show. Anyone who's watching this show, when you were watching the show in June and July, when there was not much going on, you're a real Jets fan. Hit the like button for Thomas. Mr. Magoo says, I was wondering if Underdog's available in Ohio. I am not sure, Mr. Magoo. You have to check that. Use promo code Asman if it is when you sign up. Shake and Bake says, any Underdog slips for week 1? Shake and Bake, yesterday's show, I gave out my first Underdog pick'em slip of the Jet season. Breece Hall, higher, 68.5 rushing. Garrett Wilson, higher, 69.5 receiving. Brock Purdy, he's going to die. Lower than 240.5 passing yards. My first Underdog pick'em, I believe this was $20 to win $120. So there you have it. First Underdog of the season. Woof, woof. Speaking of dogs, we say hello to Charlie, the dog groomer again. Hello, Charlie.
Ruff, ruff. Do you hear me, Jake?
We hear you, Charlie.
Ruff.
Yes.
I just called in to tell you that. That's all I have to say.
That's it?
That's it. Just woof, woof. Like,
I appreciate you, Charlie. Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a good one. What a program. Billy Goathorde says, funny story to share. I was bragging earlier today about the Jets to a guy, and I used Jake's referral of Zach Wilson as a traffic cone when talking about last season. I appreciate it, Billy Goathorns. I appreciate it. Hit the like button if you like that last call. Indy Jets writes in, Jake, I have a parlay bet I made 2 months ago. Win the East. Win the AFC Championship game. Win the Super Bowl. Indy, from your lips, to God's ears. Sean says, when they're winning, I'm a true Jets fan. When they suck, who's the Jets? Well, one thing we can make clear, there is no such thing as a bandwagon Jets fan. But this year, maybe there will be people trying to hop on the bandwagon. A-Puck wants to know, Thomas, do those jerseys fit? Good question. DNAT writes in, I use the traffic cone reference today too. Ray Jet says, give him a treat, Jake. I'm not physically there, Ray Jet. I was encouraging Charlie, the dog groomer, to give Scout the dog a treat earlier. I'm doing my part. All right. Pittsburgh Mike says, the last playoff appearance for the Jets, I was surrounded by a bunch of Steelers fans. When that game ended, I felt completely dead inside. Can the Jets in this year bring me back to life? I sure hope so. I'm expecting it, Pittsburgh Mike. Because if not now, then when? Division title. That's what Beningo and I were talking about on the phone this morning. Division title. We go from there. Sco says, Jets, Lions in the Super Bowl. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Sco, I missed your super chat here. Thank you, Sco. Thank you, Sco. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to gift a membership here. Let's find out who gets it. All right? We'll do a little membership gifting on the way out. It's been a fun show. You still got 446 people watching. So you almost feel silly ending the show when you got that many great listeners still tuned in. All right, so let's skip some memberships. We only added 10, and it was at the very beginning of the show, courtesy of who else? Felix Campos. So I'm going to get the membership right now, and we'll see who gets it. If you want to get the membership too, you hit membership gifting button where that money sign is on the bottom right if you're on a web browser. Here we go. Let's see who's going to get this one. I'm seeing a comment from Ralph Q. Traffic cone made the 53 in Denver. It is true. Lazy. Oh, how about it? Yes, this is great. Tamarek's Treehouse, who I said earlier, hey, make sure you turn on gift receipts because someone might gift you a membership. Tamarek's wrote in at the beginning of the show. He watches the show every day, but it's the first time that he's been able to actually see the show live. And I said, well, turn membership gifting on. You might get one. And guess what? He got one. Let's go. Here's my video of choice I want to play.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to this republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Love that. Love that. Thank you, V-Man. All right, we're going to wrap up here shortly. Last chance to gift your fellow Asmaniac a membership. Daniel says, Jake, huge fan. My dad is a daily listener. I'm not sure if he's watching live now, but can you give a shout out to my father, Danny Nadja? I think his name is Dan the Man NY. Dan the Man NY. Appreciate you. Appreciate both of you guys for watching. Thank you so much, Danny and Daniel. Let's go Jets. Let's go Jets. FPP says Sco is wrong. It's going to be Jets Packers in the Super Bowl. That's my prediction for right now. Why not? The Aaron Rodgers Bowl, as it's known as. The Aaron Rodgers Bowl. Can't wait. All right, that does it for me. Once again, watch party Monday Night Football, T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan, RSVP. If you're coming out, party starts at 7. I'll take pictures. I'll do a meet and greet with everyone, whatever you want. Someone asked me to sign autographs last time, and so at our Long Island event, someone asked me to sign their authentic Quinnen Williams jersey. It was like a 12-year-old kid. I refused to do it. I was like, I am not ruining a jersey with my signature for Big Q. But I'll sign anything you want if you come out. The T-Squared Social. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait. Can't wait. Best of the Jake Asman Show, episode 7. I watched it earlier. It is hysterical. Gator did an amazing job editing this one. That will be up for channel members tomorrow. So you'll have that to enjoy tomorrow night. So be ready for that one. Just wanted to tease it now. All right. Gonna be great. Tom says, Jake, sign my baby's forehead. I'd be happy to, Tom. Nate says, you sign body parts. Yeah, I sign all body parts above the waist. All right. That's my one rule. All right. That's my only rule. I'll sign anything. Just got to be above the waist. Can't wait. Brandon wants to know, is Bobby's rash healing well? Well, he didn't call into the show today. Bobby's mad at me because I didn't let him talk to Frankie yesterday. Sad. Anyway, that does it. Thank you all for watching. Fun show. We're back this afternoon. I'm doing a Jake Asman football show around 2 Eastern today. So some general NFL talk coming up at 2. Another Jet show this afternoon. I want to thank all of you for your support. My name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Show. I'll talk to you guys later. Subscribe and like if you haven't already. Go Jets.
First, I got to ask you about the shop first. Try to put in the password Patreon. It's not working.
The password's actually Chicken Soup 2024. Rick got it right.
It's not working.
Make sure you put all caps for Chicken Soup 2024.
I did put it in all caps.
It's actually all lowercase then.
It's not working, Jake. I don't know what the hell it is.
My merch person just told me they changed the password again. Let me get it for you.
Okay.
Ask her for the soup recipe.
She's not in the mood right now. She's talking to my dad.
By the way, the password is Dennis Gorman if you want to try that.
Is it all caps lock?
It's Dennis is all caps, Gorman is all lowercase.
It's not working.
Hey, I just got off the phone with my merch guy. It's Chicken Soup for Life. Try that, all caps.
It's not working either.
Are you serious? I'm going to have to fire this guy.
Chicken is spelled bleh.
How do you spell bleh? I think you're typing too fast.
Say, please try again.
This is unbelievable. All right, well, message me on the Discord later, and I'll get you in there when I figure this out. Charles, try one more password if you can. All caps, I want, WANT, chicken soup.
Say, please try again.
God damn. I'm sorry, man.
Don't worry about it, Jake. You know what? I'll probably come on another time, okay? Don't worry about it.
And now for a word from our new sponsor.
If you're Hispanic, you know what I mean when you're up every time you were sick, you go like that, and just rub this shit all over your body, and then you put like a heavy blanket over you so you can sweat out the cold.
And that was medical advice with V-Man. Vicks Mo Dre. Hello, Dre.
Any self-respecting Puerto Rican is going to have Vicks on them at all times.
Latinos use this for everything. Literally, I would get cut as a kid. I'd fall on the floor, cut. My grandmother would try to put this on it's like, a cut, ponte Vicks. Damn cancer, ponte Vicks.
This gets me through, I'm feeling a little sniffly. You just pop this bad boy in. Vicks cures broken hearts, cancer.
Literally, Dr. Dre giving us some medical advice.
We don't go to the hospital. Like, we don't want to find out what's wrong with them.
To a kid with a cold, it's love. To a mother, it's more. It's medicine.
Like, you could be